Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 11, close enough.
I love them.
11? We all just jazz handsing it? Is that just what's going on right now? Hey, that's fine, do what you want. I'm not gonna judge you, except I'm silently going to judge you. Week 11, we missed last week, so I know you all missed us. We missed playing, I'll tell you that much. It's good to be back. We're just gonna get into it here kind of just straight away, and just going to put it right on Scott to inform everybody as to where we left off, because it has been 2 weeks, and I have a vague memory of, like, torture porn of, like, what happened last time.
That's basically, yeah.
I mean, you can't even, like, ignore it. Like, that's
Doc
true.
branded himself. Like, what?
No. Someone branded me. I didn't brand myself. Someone branded me.
Is that worse? I feel like that's worse.
If you know.
I guess branding yourself would be like a tattoo.
If you tell a man to shoot you, you technically asked to be shot.
I mean, that's true.
Ergo, you shot yourself.
But it was more like the guy offered to shoot me.
And you said, yeah, do it.
Yes, please, sign me up. Where do you plan on shooting me
Please
so I can prepare the area for you?
Brand me, daddy.
I'll make sure to shave it.
We don't have to make it sexual, Sam, all right? God
I
damn.
don't know what kind of club that is, dude, all right?
You want to join?
But on the yeah, he's like a cult. Want to join me? Yeah, I'll show you how to cut yourself, or I'll cut you for you.
Listen.
That literally happened if you...
Blood for the blood god, war for the war god.
But on the other side, on the bright side of things, Gromman shook down some humans and figured out.
Chat did remind me. So before we begin, I was told by Jesse and Krendor to ask Sam to do the Gollum voice.
Oh, yes.
Yes, do it.
So on the Thursday show, the Thursday Star Wars show, plugging, except for tomorrow, but we have a Star Wars show that happens every Thursday at 9 p.m. Jesse and Krendor said, tell Sam he has to do the Gollum voice.
Why?
I don't know.
Just do it.
I refuse.
Apparently you're great at it. He said you're like really good at it.
They made Maggie do a Wookiee voice, and it was
I
hilarious.
turned like bright red.
It was funny.
Another time.
What?
No,
He has
now.
to
You
get-
gotta do it now.
No, that's not
When is there gonna be another time? This is...
I mean, like literally every Wednesday.
Like a
there's gonna be-
rogue Gollum voice, you know? Like, oh, you know, you can't just do this to a person.
Yeah, you can.
Back me up.
We can do it right now.
This happened, actually. Look at that.
Come on, Sam.
No, I'm not doing that.
Sam, do it. Do
I'm
it.
not doing it.
He's
Do
denied.
it.
He's
Do
denied.
it. Do it.
See, I have a feeling
Do it.
Sam's gonna hold his ground. That's just how Sam is.
Yeah.
No, come on, Sam.
Sam doesn't.
Why don't you
fold-
want to do
The
it?
unshakable rye.
I heard
I'll-
you're good at it,
I will
though.
absolutely. I'll text Dodger and have her make you.
If you're good at something, Maggie, never do it for free. Okay, that's why I do it.
Okay, I will
Shit.
pay
That's
you.
a bad
I'll buy you a lunch or a dinner. I live close enough to you. I can drive up there.
You're gonna pay me to do it.
Yeah, I'll pay you to do it.
Pay me to do it.
Yeah.
He's not even
Buy you-
asking.
I'll buy you a dinner.
Sam, now if you're smart, you ask for the money up front.
Oh, what? Okay, now you're working
I don't
against
pay up front. I get the service
No, I
and
do.
then I pay.
All right, this is too much pressure, guys. Okay, I don't need this right now.
Scott
All right?
said the chat says make him do death rolls until he does it.
I'm retired from the Gollum line. Okay.
Don't let him abuse his power like that.
That's
Don't give him
true.
the idea
Yeah,
of getting
that's
into
good.
this session.
a second.
Don't give him too much
All right.
power because then the DM will think that he has more power.
Oh,
than
look
you
at
do.
that. What was that? Oh, it looks like you rolled a 7. Oh, your first death roll is a 7. Oh, I don't know. This isn't going well.
That's a bad start.
Well, if you just roll 3 and you just save me, then I don't have to do it, right?
That's true.
How about this, Sam? If you roll a bad roll during the game, you can re-roll that roll if you do the Gollum voice.
This is way too much bargaining for a Gollum.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
I'll do another time. All right, relax. I'll do it.
we got a rain check. We got a rain check from him.
What's
So
rain
that's
check?
fine.
Rain check
When
on
is
the
this
I'll
other
take it.
time going to be?
Okay, just rain check on the Gollum voice.
All right, Scott, I'm gonna hand it off to you. You gotta remind everybody what the hell happened last episode, where we are, where we're going, who did what. Go for it. Fill us in. Let's get into it.
All right. I'm pretty sure last episode was the jailbreak. That was when everybody was trying to get the Bothan out of prison. So, oh, okay.
Wrong
Already did the
game.
plug, so now it's
Yeah, it's too late.
All right. So Let's see. Last week it started off with you guys facing off against a bunch of druids. So some of them seem to be just basic peasants. Some of them were actual druids, though not necessarily capable of casting spells. For a reason that's not all of you knew why or what was going on or what the case may be, you decided, hey, screw it. Let's join in this group and kill all of them. So everybody jumped into the group and, actually, I think Rye kind of hid off to the side behind a tree and enjoyed some brie. And so everybody else jumped in and tried to kill. Actually, I'm pretty sure that Addo pretty much kept to himself and aided his friends without directly murdering. So, that's not so bad. But everybody else did kill. Actually, I'm pretty sure Grommen was very unsuccessful.
Grommen did not kill anybody. I didn't touch anyone.
Does that mean that the most murderous person last week was Thunk?
I mean, Grommen tried. He was distracted by the booty.
Yeah, that's true.
The booty.
There wasn't it's not like Grommen didn't make an attempt to murder.
But either way, I do want to point out to the fact that Thunk isn't completely useless. He actually can get in time to time.
I can kill peasants like nobody's business.
Kill peasants like
Technically, Rye killed an orc.
That's also true.
That's true.
Yeah, but it wasn't like they were all orcs, But
Technically, Rye killed one of the
bad guys. Yeah, you actually helped out in that situation. And then there was Thunk had allowed words to convince the leader of them to kill one of his own and everything. So that went great. And you continued your travel to the Temple of Grumsh that is in this region. It's way off into the mountains. It's not very practical. It's hard to get to. You get there. The two of you decide to act as slaves to travel through the area. Your disguise is not very convincing, but it gets by well enough to where it doesn't matter anymore. Thunk has a meeting with the leader of this temple, to which he gets bitch slapped and reminded that he needs to know his place and to improve the quality of life of all orcs and to push them forward, which is what he's trying to do, but with a different means of doing so. To him, the end justifies the means, whereas this guy, the end is defined by the means. And so, so then he met with somebody else afterwards who is more in line with his ideals. Actually, somebody who shared the same mentor when they were growing up. This is a rarity. The person that mentored Thunk does not take on proteges ever. So the idea that the two of them shared one made for a pretty good bond. They actually bonded so well, there's a little bit of bondage as somebody was hanging upside down from a prison cell being flayed. And then there was like a whole circle of people like watching as he was being branded and stuff like that. But he decided to join a cult. It's like a subsect of the Temple of Grumsh. And the guy rewarded him with a brand and with a spear. Immediately afterwards, he decided to kind of like cover it up and he replaced his armor that kind of got burns through so they wouldn't see it. He put some bandaging over it so it could heal. It couldn't be magically healed. So he allowed that, or at least he didn't try to magically heal it because he wanted the mark there. So that's where it stands right now. You guys were leaving the temple, heading back up north towards Telflam with that healing. You got to Telflam. While you were there, Bear went and paid for his loot, found out that this isn't just any copycat. This is probably one of the original copies of the DOS loot, so it's really high quality. Almost immediately afterwards, he was able to take to the tuning, to the special way of playing this music, and then Rye stole the money back because, she's a wily little
Minx.
Yeah, Minx. There we go. That's the word I wanted. Wily little minx.
With the help of Grommen, who was like, "Where'd she go?"
Yeah, Ramen opened the door at the right time to get Rye out of there.
Yeah.
That almost worked to like a sitcom level of brilliance. That moment.
Yeah, it really did.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was done. It was done pretty darn well.
I was kind of expecting fan art of that because like people have been taking like situations like that, but all the ones that you guys have made so far are amazing.
Yeah, thank you. They're really cool.
It was very much like a "Where's George?" Huh?
Yeah.
So, where did he go, George? Where did he go? So the so picking up with where we had left off, we had a decent amount of story that came out from Grommen and what had happened there, and so on, and it's trying to find out who had killed Grommen's family before, where it is that they are. There were stories that were discovered while you were inside the temple. So Grommen was very excited about this. Oh, books, let me watch you read them and explain stuff to me so I understand. And then literally going through an entire city and you human.
And Rye stole part of the book.
Yep, Rye
Right?
did steal pages from a book, and other parts were memorized and so on. But then Grommen literally was asking every human that he'd come across questions until he got enough answers that he was satisfied. And he's like, awesome, let's go and head to Damara so I can get some answers. So that was all happening while you're trying to figure out like where you're going next, how you're getting there. Everybody knows that where you are right now is in the very far east. This actual region is known as the unapproachable east of Faerun. You were way over in the country called Thesk. So you've discovered that where you really need to go is way, way, way to the west, all the way to the west coast. And this is thousands of miles. We'll say like 2,500 miles is probably about how far you have to travel, maybe more, maybe less. So it's kind of like, how are we going to get there? How is this going to happen? And what kind of stops are we going to make along the way? That was what was coming at you as we were leaving. Everybody knows that there are at least 2 reasons to head that way. So where we're going to pick up is whether it be the same day that the coin was stolen back and the loot was acquired, or the next day, whatever the case may be, we're actually going to pick it up with Rye kind of off doing her own thing and it's kind of just zoning out, whether she be in one of the nicer parts of the city, appreciating the couple of trees or whatever that happen to be there, or one of the slummier parts of the city, just enjoying how easily she can walk through the back alleys and get between one area and the next without anybody hardly noticing her. But anyways, as Rye is walking through this area, she feels something similar that she's felt many times before, but not in quite some time. She feels kind of like a pulling from within, and a stronger connection than the last time she had one. She actually hears the whispers and the voices from within start to talk to her, to pull her. The last time she had a connection that was even close to this, she was unconscious and barely surviving some disease that was racking her body. Anything that she experienced at that time, she can't really remember. She was so overladen with the disease itself. So we're picking up Rye in some region of the city, kind of just off and on, where it's completely spacing out. While she's spaced out, somewhere out in her mind out there, it finds this voice that starts pulling to her. And the voice is like, Rye. So where is, one second, where did that go? Oh, I'm sorry, 1 second there. Sam. There we are. Okay. So the voice, and it is an interactive voice. Rye can speak back to this voice. It's kind of a funny thing to behold, because when Rye does speak to the voice, she does speak out loud. It's not like she just kind of thinks it in her head. So she doesn't have to sit there and like scream at the top of her lungs. She can kind of like whisper it back, or whatever the case may be. But whether or not she knows she's speaking out loud has never really been defined. She might not even be aware of it because she's so kind of like off in her own mind when this happens. So again, the voice kind of calls out and says to her, Rye, you are going to be pulled. You're going to be distracted. You need to stop this from happening.
Rye kind of like looks around, expecting someone to be in the immediate vicinity, maybe whispering. She realizes that there's probably no people, and so she ducks behind a tree, and in the shade of the tree, she kind of like whispers to herself, "Who are you?"
Rye, you know me too well.
"Leave me alone."
Rye, your friend wants to head to the north. You cannot head to the north. He looks to confront the king.
How'd you know about that?
If your friends head to the north, disaster will befall you, and you have way too much to do. Your task is far from complete.
Rye's kind of like, she's just confused. Who are you?
Rye, you know who I am. You feel me in your heart.
Sure enough, Rye feels the thing. And she kind of like grips her necklace, her pendant, and she's kind of, where should I go? What should I do?
You need to head to the west. You need to get aboard a ship that travels as far as it can, and let the seas take you. Your place of birth may be here, but your destiny lies far from here. After your task is complete, after your destiny is finished, you may then return here if you please. But for now, you have much to do.
What do you mean, destiny? What are you talking about?
It is not by chance we've come together, Rye. It's not by chance that you have these abilities.
Rye kind of like looks at her hands for a second and down at her shadow. And with that, she kind of like tries to just end the conversation and snap back to reality. And I guess, I mean, this walk is over for Rye. She's gonna head back to her room.
As she starts heading back to her room, she's heading once again, kind of like so caught up in thought that whereas before she was like spaced out, just like, space cadet out there. This time she's very distracted, just overthinking the situation. What is this? Why is this happening? I haven't heard this voice in ages, and all this stuff. She suddenly finds herself just kind of like one of those moments you kind of like snap to again. She's standing over in the docks part of Tel Flam. So she just kind of like is looking around. She's like, oh, where's my room again? And she looks up and she's like, oh. And she's literally standing in the dock region where there's a whole bunch of ships about. There's the smell of the rotting fish and salt water is far more prevalent here, as well as alcohol. It's far more prevalent here. And not only is she standing by the docks, but she happens to be standing pretty close to one of the dockmaster's areas where she could find out which ships are going where and so on.
Yeah, I think Rye's like called too by like the sound of seagulls overhead, and like kind of like snaps back and realizes that she's just autopiloted herself to this dock, and just without overthinking it, she just goes straight for the dockmaster.
Sure. She was walking up to the guy. He is a gnomish man. They're rather prevalent in Thesk. So he is a gnomish man, and he's got like, charts and logs and whatnot around him, a whole bunch of books that have all the various like ribbon bookmarks inside them. Has hanging from him a small, actually, you wouldn't even know what it is, like a piece of metal, like on a chain he has with him. He has an ink pen in his hand, and he's walking around with what would be like a clipboard with more papers attached to it. He has at his side even more papers. He's clearly somebody that like takes his job very seriously, and he's keeping track of everything very well. So as you kind of approach him, he's in the middle of like looking off the docks at one of the ships and looking what's going on there, making notations and kind of looking at what the lifts or the crew are taking off of the ship itself, and again making notations of it. So you go approaching this gnome who you easily tower over.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. And he looks over at you.
My friends and I, we need to go west. Do you know what boat would be the best for that?
To which city are you looking to go?
It's just really far west, like really, really far west.
Like Samia, like Cormyr?
Which one's further?
Cormyr. Cormyr's it's
Yeah, that one.
all right. Like Suzail. Are you looking for like the capital of Cormyr?
Sure. Yeah.
So you're looking for a ship to Suzail?
Yes.
A merchant ship, a passenger ship. What's the reason for your? Do you have papers for travel?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then are you looking to be aboard a merchant ship? Are you a mercenary looking for work? Are you a
Yes.
passenger looking for an enjoyable?
My friends and I are mercenaries looking for work.
Oh, okay. That's pretty normal. You look yeah, and kind of like looking up at your horns and bashful that he looked at your horns and kind of looking down. He looks down and is like, let's see, ships to Sazale and merchant ships to Sazale. Let's see. You're not afraid of a bit of danger, are you?
No, tends to follow me actually. So.
Oh, good. Perfect. This captain, he's known for he avoids the pirates and whatnot pretty well. So I mean, there we go. The ship that you're going to be looking for is, let me find that there. Oh, it's called the Plump Maiden.
Okay.
Yep. Captain Helm Tallstag. That's what you're looking for. Plump Maiden. You can find him over at dock blah 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 in directions.
Cool. Boom. All right.
So you make your way over to that dock area. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes you a few minutes, even though you come from a city that doesn't have a port in it. You don't have water over in Fasant. So it takes you a while to kind of navigate your way over to where the dock is, and you're kind of taking in the sights and everything. Because again, you've been to this city before, but like just the sea and everything in and of itself is kind of an awe-inspiring thing for you. You never really took a moment to take it in, and you really have that moment now. So you make your way over there eventually, and you can find the ship itself. It's kind of an appropriately named ship. It happens to be a rather thick ship considering the length of it. So the Plump Maiden it is, and you go walking up to it. There's some crew there that is taking some stuff off of the ship as you go. Taking some cargo off. There's some other cargo off to the side that looks like it's probably going to be put back on. And you kind of go moseying your way up to one of the crew members. You don't even have to get all the way there before one of the, we'll say gentlemen, starts making some like, woo-hoo, look at that. At the fact that Rye happens to be an attractive young female walking towards the ship, and these are some sailors. So you are making your way up as they're making their lewd comments and whatnot. And do you just ask to speak to the captain directly, or?
Yeah, I think, Ray's like, she's kind of like intimidated by it. She like pulls her hood up a bit more to hide the horns. And
You don't have to be shy there, lady.
She's just asking around for the captain.
Scott's really pushing it.
Captain gets all the good ones. So they do go and tell the captain that someone's looking for them, and you mentioned that you're looking to do work for the captain. So they go and get the captain, and he himself will actually come down to speak with you. Now the captain is a human. He's a human that looks to be in his early to mid 30s, though clearly weather-worn, sun-beaten, dark skin, lots of wrinkles, but still rather young. You can tell that he's lived his life on a ship, and he knows his trade. So when he comes walking up to you, he has those such practiced sea legs that he easily walks on the ship and just as easily walks on the land immediately afterwards as he comes down the plank to get to you. Walking up to you, he says, ahoy there, miss. What is it that I can help you with?
I'm with some friends. We're mercenaries, and we need to travel west to,
She kind of points, waiting for him to tell her where he's going because she's forgotten.
So he kind of like waits for an obnoxiously long time, and then finally he's like, "Do you mean Gormare to Sazale?"
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you meant somewhere along the route, or are you lost? Is this a ship that you're looking for, miss?
Yes, I want to go all the way there.
So you're just trying to travel as far west as possible, and you're looking to do work along the way, work for Ride.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I can pay.
This is the first time you've done one of these arrangements, yes?
That obvious?
Well, it's fine. Don't worry. Do you know your way around the blade?
Yes. And I have some pretty peculiar friends too. So there's 4 of us total.
Listen, I'm going to be a little straightforward with you here, miss. One, you don't really look like you know your way around a blade, and you certainly don't act like it. And 2, I'm just guessing based off looking at you, and please don't hold this against me, but I assume you bring something else to the table here. You're throwing some different dice.
Blades aren't really my thing. I kind of have something else, yeah.
Can you just prove it real quick, just so I know I'm not wasting my time with some would-be stowaway?
Nuke him in the face. Eldridge blast him in the face.
Murder. Topside murder.
Yeah, right. She kind of like looks down at the man's shadow, and the captain's shadow just peels off the ground and stands up and just slaps him across the face, and then just immediately vanishes back into the ground.
All right, miss. I have to say that was a first. I'm okay. And your friends know their own way around.
Oh, they're orcs, yeah.
Oh, terrific. Good. Then again, just it seems obvious. You've never been on a boat.
No.
Your friends?
Maybe? No, I'm gonna say no.
I'm not trying to, underhand some cards here. Like, I want to make sure that you know what's happening. I'm taking a shipment that, well, it's my livelihood, so it's precious to me, and delivering it to the other side of the Sea of Fallen Stars. So I need people that are going to stop pirates from taking my stuff, so me and my crew can live and make money.
Oh, that's easy. We can do that.
Yes. But boats, they move. So, like, if you can't walk, you can't really fight. And so I'm just a little concerned that I just want to make sure you understand how dangerous this is. We are literally passing through the Pirate Isles. It's the one of the best routes to get there. It's not the fastest route, but it's one of the safest routes. It's my own route.
What? I mean, who else you got to protect the cargo?
I can hire others. It might just take me a day or two, and time is money. And you kind of just walked up to me 3 hours after I docked, and I'd love to leave tomorrow or the next day. So, I mean, I'm willing to work if you're willing to work. I just want to know what I'm working with.
Look, buddy, all right? You guarantee us passage that way, and I'll guarantee your cargo's intact.
You know, I like your spirit, and you caught me off guard. You know, why don't we do business? Is this you work for me? I give you passage. You take care of guarding the ship, and we're good. Now, one more detail to go over first about rooms. Do you mind a rope bed? Is that going to be okay? Do you mind the hammocks or?
What's a hammock?
It's comfortable. It's good, and it'll help with the sway. Don't worry. Hey, just bring it in here.
Right, kind of like cleans her hand. It's a little bit dirty. Just sticks her hand out.
All right, you and 3 others. We're gonna head out in a couple of days. Is there a place where, you know what? Why don't you guys check back each morning, and I'll let you know what time we're leaving. So just be prepared to leave pretty quick if that's when we're leaving. And try not to get too pissed before we head out. Your first time on a boat, you don't want to. It'll be worse. So try to stay sober.
Don't worry. We're very responsible as a group. Don't worry at all. All right.
Awesome. Yep.
Great.
Then a pleasure doing business with you, miss. And I suppose welcome to the Plump Maiden.
Thank you.
He nods happily at that. He smiles. He's missing a couple of his teeth or whatever, but he does seem genuinely like a nice person. One of the things that kind of caught you off guard was he seemed nicer and better spoken than you would have initially expected. But he is a merchant. He's not like some pirate or whatever. He actually is a merchant. So this is a professional man. So as you kind of turn, I suppose, heading back to your room.
Yeah.
One of the things that comes to your mind as you're heading back to your room is that, well, you know that Grauman had originally intended to head straight to Damara to go and speak to the king there. That was one of the things that Grauman wanted to do. And so it's kind of like weighing on you like, ooh, Grauman's dumb. But he might realize that a boat isn't necessarily the best way unless I can convince him there's a boat going there or some other way of Grauman not knowing. And this is kind of like what's going through your head as you're making your way there. Mm-hmm. So you head back to the tavern, and do you kind of like rejoin everybody else or go and just try to like spend the rest of the night yourself? Swallow?
No, I would like surprise them with some great news. Rai kind of just comes in and she kind of sits down at the table and like grabs a drink. And she's like,
Great news! I've got us a boat to get where we want to go nice and quick.
Boat? What boat?
It's the Plump Maiden.
Oh,
Yeah, there it
Maiden.
is. Here's
Just
Otto.
immediately busts up laughing.
what's it called?
The Plump Maiden.
The Plump Maiden!
As he says that, there's literally a larger girl that's walking by. So she's just kind of like, huh! And just.
Oh. Well, anyway.
Wait, you
You said-
named boat? Boat
Yeah.
is name?
Well, I didn't name it. He said,
Oh.
come back tomorrow morning, we get a free ride. All we have to do is protect the goods from pirates.
Well, I've always been good for a free ride on a Plump Maiden.
Grauman starts busting out laughing.
Rai kind of like chokes on the drink a little bit.
There's like low hanging fruit. Yes, please. Oh.
Rai's kind of like looking around the table for proof.
We good? Yes.
Yeah, boat.
Yes.
Funk.
Thunk, he just stands up and he just says, I'll see you in the morning. And he heads to his room.
All right, great. See you in the morning on the boat. Plump Maiden.
Otto offers cheers to the Plump Maiden then.
Right, cheers.
Grauman does the
Spill
cheers as well.
So, how'd you get the boat?
Rai actually went to her room. So do you kind of like call after her as she's leaving, or do you go following after her, or?
I'll call after her as she's going up.
My dazzling charm.
And she like bows and just like
Grauman starts laughing. Grauman looks at Otto and he's like, she seemed too happy. Rye never that happy.
Oh, what? Suddenly Rai's depressing.
Rai's a depressing bitch. And then Rai just goes upstairs.
I've never seen her that happy before.
It's been a while since we've seen Rai like smile.
Yeah.
Otto in response just says, yeah, enjoy it.
She really like boat, I guess.
Yeah. You ever been on a boat?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Oh god.
They're both a few drinks in at this point.
And then while we're talking, Grauman like tries to ask why, like starts asking Otto like why people would name a boat.
Mm.
Do you have an answer to that, Otto?
I mean, I wish I did. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know why they name a boat.
All I know is that before you guys head out on your voyage, you're gonna have to go pick up some flippy floppies. So just saying.
Oh, no.
Scott,
I
that's
got-
just
Hey, listen,
That's-
okay?
that's an old
That is
reference.
some
No, it's
ancient
okay.
internet shit right there.
In a
man.
world where that boy is old in a month and a half, that is like ancient internet.
No. That song is still gold. Okay, still gold.
Good song. It just was made in 2010. You got to get with the times, man.
No, but is there a more recent song about a boat?
Probably a lot.
I'm sure there's probably a bunch.
But the fact that you can't say one immediately.
Scott, stop trying to defend yourself. It's too late.
Do it. Right, let's see. Thunk rolls a death check.
you can't. Can't do it.
So, anyways, that night, as you proceeds, do Otto and Grommen drink a bunch, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Grommen wasn't told he shouldn't, so he's gonna proceed as normal.
I was given no specific warning that I shouldn't drink before I get on the boat, so I don't think I would have that.
Grommen's probably cheering on Otto to play another song with his fat new lute.
On the DOS lute, yeah, no.
Yeah, the DOS lute.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna be a little bit snobby about it. Hold the performances from the DOS.
So you're gonna bust out your other lute.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so you pretty much just play with the other stuff and so on. So okay, that's cool. Well, one of the things I do want to say is specifically about boats and seaside and all that stuff is while Grommen grew up in a mountain and traveled through land all the way to get here, Thonk actually grew up in this region itself. Rai literally grew up in the city that you guys started in. Her first time really leaving the city was with this group. Otto, however, is from the nation of Loren. Loren, that's it, Loren, which is a seaside nation, and a lot of its biggest and best cities are along the sea itself. The Great Sea, it's actually called. It's a big one. And I imagine that Otto actually had a childhood growing up swimming in the ocean and being by ships. Probably never actually on a voyage or anything like that, but the idea of boats and docks and whatnot are the least foreign to Otto, and he probably learned lots of stories, lots of songs, lots of banter from the sailors that live there. So I imagine that going at least to the docks and at least interacting with the sailors is going to be relatively easy for him. However, one of the other things that Otto would know immediately is sailors tend to be ones that do same trade routes back and forth. They tend to be to speak at least one more language. And if you have particularly intelligent or particularly well-traveled sailors, they at least know the smatterings of a bunch of languages, because just simply put, not everywhere speaks the same language. Now, Faerun happens to have this one language called Common, and everybody speaks it. It's like this watered down language. It's a mesh of a whole bunch of different languages. So it's almost like you could say where's the restroom in Spanish, but you could ask where the bakery is in French. And it's like a smattering of a bunch of different languages that everybody more or less knows. The issue is when you speak in that language, you're not able to always get your point across very well. You're not always able to get your point across clearly. You lose a lot of the oomph and a threat or a charm. Knowing the actual regional language happens to be very important. So that being said, Otto knows that this is going to be something important. Him instinctively knows this as you guys head very far to the west, because all four of you, with the exception of Otto, sorry, all three of you, with the exception of Otto, grew up with the language you've been speaking pretty much the entire campaign so far. That all aside, that night Rai has an interesting slew of dreams. So the first dream she has, she finds herself back in her home, but it's in the middle of wintertime, and she's been locked out on the streets for one reason or another. She aggravated the peoples that take care of the orphanage that she grew up in, and she's locked out on the streets, cold and hungry. And this is a dream that seems to go on forever. And she's just constantly shivering the entire time she's in this dream, just trying to avoid the thugs that are just going to kill her for the shirt off her back, or, people that are prejudiced trying to kill her to, who knows, take her horns, or just to be cruel, or whatever the case may be. And after that dream finally comes out, and she kind of wakes up almost like in a pool of sweat and with the actual cold shakes. So she's cold but sweating at the same time, so cold sweats. She's eventually able to fall back asleep, but in this next sleep, she finds herself once again at the castle of Blackhill. After everybody has turned their back on them, nobody's willing to let her in. It's winter time. The doors are locked. Nobody's willing to allow a spark for a flame to warm her up. Nobody's willing to give her a blanket. She just finds herself cold and shivering, and she just can't find comfort anywhere she is. And the same thing, she wakes up in cold sweats. At this point, would Rai even try to go back to sleep, or would she just be like, screw it, I'm up for the night, to hell with sleep, I'm just gonna deal with it?
I think she tries to resist sleeping again, but the mental fatigue of these two dreams, she's just exhausted. So
Yeah.
I think she would eventually just fall asleep again.
So the third and final dream that she has to suffer through, sadly, she was, as you had said, fatigued. She's exhausted. Her mind can't even hold on to the pertinent details. She just knows, once again, she just feels this feeling of just darkness and cold. She just cannot beat it. She literally wakes up with her teeth chattering, and even an hour or so after she wakes up, of like rubbing her arms or trying to get something to warm her up, no matter what she gets, she can't get anything that really does the trick to warm her up. I imagine, like, as the sun's finally coming up and she makes her way outside, because it's still late summer right now, as she makes her way outside, she's inside the sunlight and she's trying to warm herself up, but really struggling to do so. She's kind of like walking down the streets, just again trying to stay in the beams of the sun to warm herself up. She sees a few shops opening, and as these shops are opening, she happens to see that one of them is a clothing store. Kind of getting an idea, finds her way in the clothing store, and her eyes are almost pulled immediately to the rack of just like heavy furs and warm, comfortable clothing that's just lying there, and she's like pulled to it as she's literally just like. And even the shop owner themselves are kind of looking at her, and they're speaking to her, but she's so cold she can barely make out what they're saying. Probably something along the lines of, "Dear, are you okay?" As in the middle of the summertime, it's probably like a 71-degree morning. She's just chattering.
Okay. I'm just grabbing one of these furs.
So you buy the clothes, you throw the coin on the counter or whatever it is, and you just kind of like put the fur on. After you get it on, and you make your way back to your room or whatever it is that you go, some time passes, and eventually the warmth just kind of like seeps back into you, and you're just like, oh God. And you can finally feel like your fingertips, and you can finally feel like, it's not like you had looked into a mirror or anything, but you felt as though like your cheeks would have been blue and your lips would have been blue had you seen yourself. So eventually the warmth does come back to her. But do you make your way back to do you find your way over to the docks? Is that what your plan is right now, Rye?
Am I just going to check on my own on the boats?
It's up to you, or you can go and meet up with the group. Either way, you're pretty tired, so it's your call.
Yeah, I think she's just gonna like trudge down for breakfast and see what the group's up to. Put some food in her belly, and like see if they want to just head over to the docks.
So as you make your way in for breakfast, a little surprised to see you. Thonk is already there, always up, always early. His prayers are already
Always
done.
watching.
After he cut himself in the morning, his morning cutting.
That's just a story you tell people, Gromit. No one believes you.
His prayers are already done for the day. He's a little surprised to see you, but he was kind of like, it takes him a few extra moments. It's almost like you have to kind of go up to him and be like, "Oh, hi, Thunk," before he notices you. When he kind of looks up and sees you there, he's a bit distracted. But the reason why he was a bit distracted, rewind in a second, one of the things that has been kind of like weighing on Thunk for the past couple of days, it's kind of like after he's been healing a bit more, after time's going on, he likes to keep his thing bandaged up while it was healing. He likes to keep it covered up because, let's be serious, it's the mark of a cult. But every once in a while when it's not just the mark of a cult, it's the mark of an evil god that likes murdering people. So
Right, it's a mark of a religion. It's different. Oop, Jesus. Continue.
So he, one of the things that he notices when he's by himself, is whether it be because he's undressing, because he's bathing, or whatever the case may be, every once in a while, when he finds himself with his tunic off and when he's changing the dressings of this thing, it's almost as though like he tends to get a lot more contemplative when this happens. Generally he's changing his dressings at this time because he is still keeping it there. He finds himself deeper in thought and like almost having a deeper understanding of things than he had prior. So it's this strange thing. And it's one of the things that he had noticed this morning is he had woken up and because he was kind of tossing and turning in his own sleep, kind of going over everything. When he woke up, the dressings had pulled themselves off on their own. And when he wakes up, he has this like almost this keenness that he has very rarely experienced before, where things just seem to make more sense to him than they were, and he seems to be a bit more contemplative than they were. But as he goes about his morning routine, he does his prayers, which tends to go better than they were. He almost feels as though he is he's paying better homage to Grumsh. Something he's doing is better. When he finally gets his bandages back on, he gets completely dressed and everything. By the time he leaves the room and heads back downstairs, he notices that his mind almost feels foggy. compared to how it was minutes ago, or some indeterminate amount of time.
Can I pinpoint when that happened?
Yeah, why don't you try to roll for me a I suppose a wisdom check to pinpoint when that happened.
Sure.
And this is when you're pinpointing, it's gonna be when you're downstairs, you just ordered your meal and you're kind of like very deep in thought. And you're
It's a wisdom quote unquote saving throw, right?
Please and thank you. Yes, sir.
Fuck yeah, nat 20.
Oh,
yes.
Perfect. So as you're sitting there deep in thought, all of a sudden you're just like, when did that, like I just had these thoughts and this things just made sense to me in such a rich way. And then it was literally right as I covered up, like it wasn't even as I put my tunic on, it was within moments of putting the bandage on. And right as you're coming to this discovery that you seem to be clouding your minds by covering this new thing of yours. I mean, you just rolled a natty 20. It's a 24. It's amazing. So as you come to this discovery, all of a sudden you hear, however Rye says it, like oh, morning thunk or whatever. How would you introduce yourself, Rye?
I think like Rye has like discarded her previous cloak for like this big fur-lined one, and she kind of like shuffles over the table. And I think what snaps Thunk back to reality isn't so much agreeing as just the creaking of the chair on the floor as she like seats herself at the table. So like she kind of pulls the chair out next to him, and it's like across the floor, and the noise is very like jarring, and I think it snaps Thonk.
Yeah, I'll use my you see Thonk look over and looks you up and down really quickly, and he just simply says, "You look like hell."
Mind you, she is completely covered in very thick, but go ahead.
Well, even more so.
You can see my face. I've got,
and
like,
he's completely covered in a warm day.
Yeah, she just kind of like nods once and kind of sits down, and then you see her like just like cup like some water and just like sip.
I look over, I continue looking at you, I say, "Are you well?"
Right, like hesitates to nod and then nods and just sips again.
He'll just let that sink in for a minute, and then he'll look away, just like, do whatever the fuck you want at that point. Like, you're not gonna. That was the most Thonk would offer his help, basically. And then you see him reach into his tunic, and you just see him like messing with something for a little bit, and then you see him rip out like bloodied gauze and stuff. He just kind of plops it onto the like, what do you call it? Not the desk, the
table.
The table. We're at the. I was thinking we were at a bar, but.
You put it down like right next to Rye, and she's like had such a shit that night. She's utterly unfazed. She just fucking glances at it and then just goes back to sipping the water.
Healing that off, while I'm sure it felt good because it gets itchy and whatnot, it did not seem to have the effects that you were maybe hoping for in doing so. But you do remove that off, and you at least kind of like make that notation as you do so. Your mind still feels a bit foggy.
Okay.
So the two of you are probably going to stay relatively silent. At some point in time, the barmaid comes over and it's like, "Oh my God, sweetie, you look like hell," or something like that. And brings you over like a hot cup of water, or like a hot tea, or coffee, or whatever the beverage they could possibly offer. At least a warm, like freshly squirted cup of milk to try to like warm you up because you look terrible. Eventually,
I'm into it.
Eventually, your two, it's not blue milk though. Eventually, your two companions come like one at a time, making their way downstairs. You could even say that they drank so long and so late playing games together that they passed out in the same room. So they're literally coming down at the same time, like, "Oh, let's go have food." Yeah. So
you're just feeding the fanfic, Scott.
Oh yeah, no, it's Rye and Otto. Don't worry.
There's Gromit and Otto fanfic.
There's Gromit and Otto.
It's Otto X somebody.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is.
Otto's getting around.
Throughout the night,
I'm just saying, Thunk still needs his altar boy. So,
so secretly, Scott wants Gromit X Thunk. Is what you're saying? Okay, good to know.
So having learned last night that we were going to be taking a boat, Otto spent the majority of the evening teaching Gromit as many sea shanties as he could.
Oh, awesome.
Beautiful.
So come morning, I'm leading him onto one. Why can't ye be so handy as we're getting down?
Why can't he be so? Going on with it.
Grabbing the drinks as we're singing.
Judging by the way you guys, maybe you're not even hungover yet.
Oh
Maybe
no,
you're still
yeah, we're having a
drunk.
great night.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those moments when you get up, you have to get ready for work in the morning, and you're like taking a shower, and you're like, oh, I didn't sleep enough. And then, like sometime when you're in the shower, or maybe after you drink your coffee, you realize, "Gee, I'm still drunk. We've all been there. We all know. So it's like kind of one of those moments.
I have never been there.
What?
I have never been there.
So Super Bowl Sunday.
Time to change that. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Anyway, so you guys are making your way downstairs, having your fun, and when you come down there, I imagine you notice the two of them being so downtrodden or contemplative or whatever the case may be. You probably wouldn't notice. However, after a minute or so of finishing your song and ordering food, kind of like your attention would go to the fact that Rye is less snuggled than when she first walked in, but still underneath a lot of very heavy clothing.
Mm-hmm. I come up to the bar. I'm very cheery and maybe still a little drunk. And I come up and I smack Rye on the back above her fur shawl. Say, "Morning, sunshine."
Grauman touches her cloak and is like, "Oh, so soft."
Right,
Where you get this?
From the shop.
Grauman like. And he sits down.
Thanks, Grumman.
Grumman approval. So you guys make your way. Sorry. You guys make your way to the. You order your food. Time passes. You don't really ask anymore. Eventually, somebody comes into the shop. A sailor comes in and he's like looking around. He's like a bit like exasperated. He's like, "Is there a Rye here? Is there a Rye here?"
Right. Meekly raises her hand.
Are you this is the 13th place I've gone looking. The captain's been hollering for your name for over an hour now. We were supposed to weigh anchor. Like we need to now. He's pissed now. Oh, if he
Thonk stands up and
he
like
takes
walks
rum out of
towards-
my rations. You got
this guy. Thonk walks towards this guy and places his hand like on the guy's chest and like starts pushing as Thonk is walking, like out the door as this guy's like shouting, and Thonk's just like walking and pushing him out.
Rye's like right behind him. We're holding ass.
We're coming along.
Grauman, like as everyone gets up, Grauman goes, because he was really looking forward to food, and he gets up reluctantly and follows, and he goes, "I hope boat fun," and he follows.
It's okay, actually. Looking at Grauman so upset, one of the maids that work there shovel all the four people's food onto one plate and hands it to Grauman to bring with him. So it's like a big plate of like.
Grauman grins, and his whatever you call it, attitude totally changes, and he holds this giant plate of food and thanks her and follows along.
Otto is quickly coming behind. Hey, pass me a biscuit.
He's throwing biscuit down.
Just drops food.
Fetch. So you make your way to the to the docks. In short, the captain is pissed, but he doesn't even. He looks down and he sees you. He's like, "Hey, miss." And by the way, sorry, cutting it back for a moment. As you guys are walking there, Rye starts to get a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more comfortable. So by the time she's at the dock, she's actually feeling warm enough. She could probably take off these extra cloaks or whatever and shove them into her bag, and then and get there. But anyways, he does look down. He just waves his arms in the air and looks at her like aggravated, like miss, like, and doesn't even say anything beyond that.
Grauman looks at Otto and is like, does he want a hug from Rye?
Almost certainly.
And
He's just like standing there.
the four of you make your way onto the ship. He doesn't really spend any time with you because of how late they are now, and he's just start calling out orders for people to do things and so on. So eventually everything gets moving and you guys are able to cast off and start going. Before you even get like 20 feet from the dock, Suddenly, Otto and Grommen have this realization that maybe being drunk and not really having experience on a boat and being on a boat isn't a well. Why don't you guys both roll me con saves real quick?
Con saves.
Hey, I've been on a boat.
All right. Oh, I gotta pop this out.
Oh, is this,
Pop this out. Is it just okay? Is that right?
Someone's got sound coming from something
Oops.
other than their headphones.
It might be me. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't see. There we go. Grommen had. Do you want to roll again, Maggie, without your advantage? Thank you. So it looks like you both are actually able to stomach it pretty well. You get the whole green face and like moments where you're like, but you
That's
don't
just
actually.
my normal face, okay?
Wow.
That's
Sorry.
racist.
I didn't mean to be insensitive. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be insensitive. So, but eventually, the two of them pop, and Otto does first. And I imagine it's some sort of game between the two of them. But eventually, Otto goes first, and they both find their way vomiting off the side of the ship. The other two of you, kind of in your own moments of contemplation or whatever, make your way around. Somebody goes and shows you where your rooms are. You actually have a room semi-separated from the rest of the crew here. So it's one room. It's rather small. When I say small, I mean Otto is like super comfortable. I mean, you're able to stand up no problem. Rye only needs to duck her head like a little because Rye's about, what, 4.5 feet?
About 5 foot. Yeah.
Yeah, so she only needs to duck her head a little bit when like walking past stuff. But there are even spots in the room where she can stand upright and be comfortable. Thonk is definitely uncomfortable ducking the entire time that he's in this room or whatever. And Grommen, well, Grommen's not happy. Either way, the beds that you guys are sleeping on are hammocks, as I had said before, kind of like lifted up. One is hanging over another, so it's two sets of two like bunk hammocks. That are in the area that you can kind of climb into to sleep. But the room itself is rather small. If all four of you are lying in your hammocks, disrobed, whatever it is that you take off, and leave it lying on the grounds, you could relatively easily maneuver your way in and out of the room, but the floor is pretty much covered with crap now. There's very little space here. Very little spaces like cubbies in the walls or anything. So it's very cramped, and nobody would be comfortable spending much time here. Either way, the ship takes off and it starts making its way off to the west across the Sea of Fallen Stars. Now, why don't we take our first break and we'll come back and get this going.
Sounds good. All right. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, guys, for hour 2 of Edge of Morality. We'll see you shortly.